Well, I know one thing is very clear. The American people know who was for them and who was against them. The American people know who fought and will continue to fight to ensure that we have a healthcare system that does not remove the ability for people to get the basics, which is the healthcare that they deserve. So when I look at the last 40-something days, I think about my Republican colleagues who had a vacation. I hope they're well rested and are ready to come negotiate and fight for their constituents just like I am. All shut down. Me and my colleagues coming to Washington every week in our districts, raising the stories of our constituents, made it very clear that we stand for them.
You know, reopening the government is important for people across this country, for our federal employees who've really been struggling, without question. What this shutdown did was focused the American people on an issue that they all were feeling and didn't realize that everyone was united on, and that is the need for a change and affordability. Asking for the status quo is not what we should be fighting for. We need to fight for true affordability and access. So this shutdown got that conversation moving. And let's just be clear, like, the Republicans had the ability to avoid the shutdown from the beginning, and they chose not to. And so it is on them that people had to go through all this, and now using this momentum, we have to continue to deliver for the American people. And we failed with this continuing resolution, but we need to not fail the next time.
You know, I really struggle when I think about the costs and the toll that these last 43 days took on the American people. But I also cannot help but think about the insurmountable toll that losing their health care will take on families. We know that's 50,000 avoidable deaths that are being projected based on the loss of Medicaid, the loss of Affordable Care Act plans. We know that costs are going to go up for families based on who don't get ACA tax credits. Their premiums are going to go up because people who are healthy are coming out of the marketplace. That's the way insurance works. I feel like we are stuck between two really horrible options these last 43 days. And I don't know, worth it feels like a hard question to answer, but I think we have to use every tool that we have to fight to keep people healthy, to fight to ensure that they can afford the cost of living here, to ensure that we are building a future that's healthier for everyone.
Well, I came to Washington to make sure I stood up for Oregonians, make sure I stood up for Americans. And I think what people really want to know is there an honest voice in here? Is there someone that's going to stand up and look out for their needs? Mike Johnson, man of God, controls the House. He could have done a lot more, and we'll continue to push on him.
Look, I think that we've spent the last 40 days arguing on behalf of the American people to make healthcare more affordable in the country's richest nation. So you can never say that argument, that fight is not worth it. However, I do think we should have walked away with more. I think that, the uncertainty that this shutdown created should have led to us being able to get something out of this deal more than just a handshake agreement in the Senate to be able to take a future vote on healthcare premium subsidy extensions, which I think, as most people know, Republicans saying that they will hold a vote on that issue is essentially asking two wolves and a chicken to vote on what's for dinner. We know it's dead on arrival. We know it's going nowhere. And so at the end of the day, that outcome is not worth where we are.
I would like to look forward, not back. I feel like we had it, when you say give it a shot, when especially in Florida, we have the biggest impact in the country. 4.5 million Floridians on the Affordable Care Act. 90% of them count on these subsidies. Millions of Floridians are going to lose their health care. I can tell you this, my phone is ringing off the hook, not just by constituents, but by people who are running our hospitals. They are very, very concerned. So yes, do I think it was worth it to give it a try to see if there was some common sense and humanity? Call me an optimist.
Absolutely, and I think we should continue to go further. I have taken a pass on receiving my paycheck, as many of my other colleagues. It's worth the sacrifice. This is about not just reopening the government, it's about turning the country going into the right direction. The president is in the wrong direction. During this 43 3 days of shutdown, what has he done? He's torn down the east wing of the White House. He's gloated about his fabulous balls that he's had in Mar-a-Lago. He's talked about, he's gone to football games. He's been golfing. Never once have you heard the president say, here's how I'm going to help the poor. Here's how I'm going to help the vulnerable. Here's how I'm going to help those that are desperate, that are living in the margins. And so his priorities are wrong. He wants the American people to continue to make bricks without straw. People aren't lazy. People are tired, and they've been taken advantage of. And so not until we restore what was already missing in the Affordable Care Act, and not until we make sure SNAP is fully funded, not until we make sure that the LIHEAP is fully restored, can we stop. We have to continue to push forward. He's taking the country in the wrong direction.
Well, there was a lot of pain. We didn't have to have a shutdown. Nothing has changed now except the bill's a little worse with that Senate provision they put in there about suing. We could have done this from the beginning. If you'd have just put health care in there, we wouldn't have had to have this shutdown. So it's something that they're going to have to take responsibility for because it could have been avoided.